In today's video, we are going to create a storage account and then create a data table inside that storage account that we are going to access from our application. As I mentioned before in a previous video, you should use resource groups to store all of the products you build within Azure. And for this series, I'm using the resource group RG YouTube I created earlier. So to get here, you would open up Azure portal and start typing in storage. You'll see storage accounts, click on it, and it'll take you to this page. You see right now I have it filtered, so it's as if I don't have any storage accounts. So we go and hit create. You can also create from the ribbon. When it's empty, you'll get this prompt here. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. We're going to create a storage account. Our subscription is my Azure 1 year. And then you choose a resource group. As we already created, let's go with RG YouTube. Now our storage account name, our naming convention is SA for storage account, assuming it's available. Okay, SA YouTube. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I can't even have a hyphen in there, so we're going to say SA YouTube. Can I do a dot? No, it's only letters. Okay, so it's only letters we can have. So we're going to say YouTube. We'll go with that. Okay, then we choose our region. We talked about regions before. You pretty much choose one closest to where you live. Our preferred storage type is going to be Azure Blob Storage or Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Really, it's going to be Azure Blob Storage. This is not as important as it once was, but since we're going to be working with blob storage or with data tables, that's the best one to choose. Okay, our primary workload, it really doesn't matter here, but we'll just say backup and archive. It's going to make assumptions for you. Oh, SA YouTube is not available. So okay, we'll go and do Cigar Doug YouTube. That should be available, and that's going to be our storage account name. Okay, we're going to do standard redundancy. What we want is local redundant storage. We want this as cheap as possible. So basically, by picking standard and LRS, that is going to be the cheapest possible route. When you're starting out, you want to make sure that you always buy the cheapest level of any particular product, because you're testing stuff, you're playing around. As you move forward, you will find reasons to expand to a more expensive tier, but you're going to figure that on your own. I can't really say what your requirements are going to be, but it's safe to say when you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out the best way to do things, always go with the freest, cheapest tiers, because you can just kind of screw around, and if you mess up, you just blow it away and start over again. Once we verify that everything is correct, we go ahead and hit review and create, and it should only take a minute or two to create our storage account. Alright, now that's validating everything. If you were going to bother with doing tags or stuff, you could do all of this. We're not going to go through all these other tabs. Feel free to look at them on your own. But let's go ahead and hit everything's correct, and we'll hit create. This is where it takes a minute. Now there are 4 major components to a storage account that you want to familiarize yourself with. The first is blob storage. The second is tables, the third is queues, and the fourth is file shares. File shares is where you can actually have like a OneDrive equivalent, like a shared folder on your Windows computer, and you can drag and drop between. We'll probably cover that in another video. So our deployment's complete. We're going to go to our source here. I'm going to go ahead and pin this. This is very useful to get used to with dashboards, is you hit pin. I have a YouTube dashboard So everything that I do related to these videos, I'm pinning to that dashboard. So I'll show that in another video. We can go directly from there to where we want. You're going to find dashboards very helpful, because if you put things there that you're working with all the time, you can create as many as you need. So each project, that way you're not drilling down, especially if you have a lot of things, you're not drilling through the search and whatever. Okay, so here we have our storage account created. Okay, so here we have data storage in the ribbon here, the panel here on the left. And you see, as I mentioned, containers are for blobs. File shares is basically a share drive. Queues, I haven't had a chance to work with queues, but basically it's first on, first off. The whole, if you were building some kind of a log system, or you needed to send messages between different applications, and you want those messages to get queued up and then fired off to another app, queues are very good for that. What we're looking at here is tables. A table is basically just like an Excel spreadsheet or like an Access data table. Okay, so we'll click on this, and now it shows I don't have any tables, of course, yet. So we're going to go ahead and create a table here. Since our application is going to do something real simple, we're going to do a simple task tracker. So we're going to give our table name as tasks. Just a word here about naming conventions. I don't know why in some circles, if I'm making a list of tasks, I would think the table should be called tasks. Some people argue that it should be tasks singular. I think it should be plural, because that's clearer, but that's just a personal preference thing. Whatever you do for a naming convention, be consistent all the way through. That's the best advice I can give you on naming conventions. So we're going to go ahead and create a table, and there it is. That's very simple. We created a table. There's not much else to it. There is no schema. So if you were to look at this in Azure Storage Explorer, which we're going to do in a few, you don't have predefined fields. You add whatever fields you want. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Azure Data Explorer and show you what this table looks like and how we can import data into the table. But this is all you have to do to create a table in Azure Storage. The last step in our video is Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer, which you can download, install in Windows. It is a very efficient way to work with Azure storage containers. Click here, refresh all. Here I got 2 different subscriptions, and so you have to sign in for each one, and then you've got all of your storage accounts. You just expand that out. And this here we have Cigar Doug YouTube, which is a storage container we just built, storage account we just built. There's blob containers, we don't have any. File shares is empty, queues is empty, and then tables, you see anything with a little $sign, that's a system table. We don't mess with those. But there's tasks. So you just click on tasks, and here we are. And there's no data yet because we haven't done anything. But I want to call attention to, there's 2 columns, partition key and row key. These are the 2 unique identifiers. Between them, every record must have a unique partition key and row key combined. And if you save with an existing partition and row key combination, it's going to overwrite your existing record. So in another video, I will cover how to create a table from some other source in a CSV file and then import it into Azure Storage Explorer, which will quickly populate your table, which is very useful if you're pulling data from some other source. It's a very handy way of getting your legacy data into your new table, but we don't have to have anything here. We're just going to go ahead and build out our application in Visual Studio and populate this table. That's all for now.